That phrase sounds like agreement, but it usually isn't. People who say, "if you think so." This phrase sounds like agreement. Polite, reasonable, almost supportive. If you think so. It usually appears when a conversation reaches a point of tension, not a fight, not a disagreement, just a moment where two perspectives no longer line up. The words feel calm, non-confrontational, like a way to respect the other person's view. But they also mark a shift. The energy changes, the curiosity fades. The conversation doesn't move forward, it settles. Nothing is challenged, nothing is explored. The phrase lands softly, and yet something quietly stops happening right after it's said. It usually starts in a calm exchange. Someone shares an opinion, a plan, an explanation that feels thought through. The other person listens, nods, stays quiet for a moment. There's no interruption, no strong reaction, and then it comes. If you think so. The tone is neutral, measured, almost careful. It sounds like respect, as if the conversation is being left open. But there's no follow-up question, no curiosity about how the idea came to be. The words don't invite more. They gently close the space, and the moment moves on, without anyone noticing exactly when it stopped being a dialogue. Over time, the phrase becomes familiar. It shows up whenever opinions don't quite match, when agreement feels forced, when engaging further feels unnecessary. If you think so. It replaces discussion. It replaces clarification. Instead of asking why or what led to that conclusion, the conversation is gently redirected. Nothing escalates. Nothing resolves. The phrase creates a pause that feels final. The speaker steps back. The other person is left carrying the thought alone. And because the words sound respectful, no one questions them. The exchange ends politely, not with understanding, not with disagreement, just with distance that feels calm enough to accept. On the receiving end, the effect is subtle. You don't feel dismissed, you don't feel challenged, but you do feel alone with the idea. There's no signal to continue, no invitation to explain further, no sense that understanding is still being built. The conversation feels finished, even if nothing was resolved. You start questioning whether to add more or let it go. And most of the time, you let it go. Not because you changed your mind, but because the space for dialogue quietly disappeared. What remains isn't conflict, it's silence, wrapped in politeness. Most people don't say this to shut someone down. They say it to avoid friction. If you think so feels safer than disagreeing. It feels lighter than explaining why something doesn't sit right. Disagreement takes energy. Curiosity takes effort. This phrase offers an exit that doesn't look like one. The speaker can step back without sounding dismissive, without having to argue, without having to commit. It keeps the interaction polite, contained, and socially that matters, because staying agreeable often feels easier than staying present in a conversation that might become uncomfortable. At some point, you recognized yourself. You've said it. Not to be dismissive, not to end the conversation abruptly, but because disagreeing felt heavier than letting things settle. If you think so. It sounded respectful, measured, safe, and maybe it was, but it was also a way to step back without staying curious, without asking more, without engaging further. Just enough distance to keep things polite. And if moments like this feel familiar, the quiet ones where conversations don't break but don't deepen either, you might want to stick around. Who approved this?